All right, folks, time for an update. Now, as you know, and something that I have said in the past, I like to keep these videos about economics, about MMT, about the markets, about mental game. I tend to stay away mostly from politics and geopolitics, but I mean, the situation now with Syria is very, very dire. I don't know how else to see it. I mean, you have what looks to be essentially an imminent, major attack by the United States against the regime in Syria on a false flag provocation. And if that isn't bad enough, and if we've seen it already last year, we saw it with the Sheikh Kahun U.S. missile attack. They sent 59 Tomahawk missiles to blow up that largely abandoned airfield. And then afterwards, it was revealed, and even Secretary of Defense Mattis even came out publicly and said there was no evidence that Syria, was responsible for that chemical attack. And of course, this is the same false flag provocation. We saw a week ago Donald Trump come out publicly, all of a sudden, nobody was expecting it, saying, hey, I want to pull U.S. troops out of Syria. I want to get out of there. Let them figure it out. And no sooner did he do that than we see this supposed attack. There is no real evidence of it yet. There are videos, yes, by the notorious white helmets. We've seen these guys, the white helmets. And anyway, I don't want to get into the whole thing. The thing that I'm trying to say here is this is not just another, U.S. bombardment of a Middle Eastern country. You have Russia in there, and Russia has now said, it has come out publicly and stated that it will shoot down the incoming missiles. And now here's the important part, because, you're not going to be able to get all the missiles. But it will target launch sites, which means ostensibly you're talking about ships at sea. You could be talking about bases somewhere. It said it will target launch sites. This is a game changer. This would put the United States and Russia directly into a hot war engagement, something that we have never seen happen. Not in both world wars. Not during the Cold War. The closest we ever came to it was the Cuban Missile Crisis, which thankfully was diffused. Now, I lived through the Cold War. All right, I'm 60. I'm going to be 61 years old. I lived through the Cold War, and I can never remember a time as dangerous as right now. I mean, these two countries might be going head to head, the United States and Russia, and if that's the case, all bets are off. So I'm going to talk about the markets, but just keep that in mind. It's a very, very dire situation. Now, let's talk about the markets. Who was the guy for, over 2 years now, who has been telling you that we are in a new inflation impulse, and the portfolio you need to construct is an inflation portfolio, and gold is the preeminent. There were three things in that portfolio. Number one, gold was a principal component of that portfolio. And remember, I've said many, many times, and you can go back to my old emails where I criticize the gold bugs and I mock them and I make fun of them. I have never been a gold bug. I do not think gold is money, okay? I made that dollar video in 2009 saying the dollar was going to go up in a very long-term trend, which it was correct for 6-7 years. All right. But I called the gold. I called it exactly timing-wise. I said in November, early December of 2015, when the Fed was already indicating that it was going to reverse course on monetary policy and change direction and raise interest rates, right? That's the thing that everybody said, oh, that's going to squash inflation. That's going to kill gold. Gold was at $1,045 an ounce. I said, now you have to buy gold. And as long as that policy remains in effect, and as long as we have fiscal expansion going on, which we are, and we did have, and we still have, you have to stay in gold. And I have been absolutely correct. Every time gold has pulled back, and you had a lot of people come on here, a lot of you jokers come on here and mock me and say, "Oh, great job that gold. Great job the gold." But here we are at 1360, and it is going to go higher. All right. I had people, I remember signing up for my report. I had one joker, zombie, mousy boy, right, signing up for my report. This is probably, I don't know, at the end of 2016. He saw my gold position at the time. He's like, "Oh, Norman." And the gold was underwater at the time. He's, "Man, oh, look at that. Oh, I feel sorry for you. Look at that gold position. Oh, boy, you better really hope." Oh, man, who's laughing now? Okay. That was one element of the inflation impulse portfolio. The other element, which I called as well, was the dollar was going to decline. And I've discussed this and I've talked about this so many times. Oh, hey, all the other geniuses out there, right? Oh, they're going to raise interest rates. It's bullish for the currency. It's bullish for the dollar. Everybody, not just the mousy boys and the zombies who come on here, but I mean Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and Chase and all of them. They're all saying that. I was the one who said higher interest rates are bearish for the currency. You had even Fed officials, you had top economists, so-called, saying, "Oh," and then they were like, "Gee, we don't understand. We had so many rate hikes, and okay, this must be the one," right? Every time they had it. I told you, it's going down. It's going down. Who was right? I was right. And the third element in that portfolio was the shorting of the treasuries, all right, which has happened, all right. 10-year treasury futures at the time in 2015, December, when the Fed started to raise interest rates, the 10-year treasury was trading at 127. Now it's basically at 120, all right. It's been a slow decline, but it has been a decline. And I said, you don't buy treasuries when the Fed is raising rates, and vice versa. When the Fed is cutting rates, you don't sell treasuries. All right? So those three elements have been perfect. We've all, in my SEAL Team 6 group, we've all made money. Okay? The policy remains in effect. All these policies that I've been talking about remains in effect. The war situation, let me get back to that because that is very dire. By the way, I should throw in another thing. It was not necessarily one of those components of the inflation impulse, but it was a very important secondary thing, and that was oil prices. I called the bottom of oil prices. You can go back and look at my videos in January, I believe, or early February of 2016. When oil hit, I think I originally called it at $30. It went to like 26 or 25. It is now at 67. By the way, on that oil, I sent out to my MMT Trader subscribers today, as I do every Wednesday, a summary and analysis of the weekly EIA petroleum report. This was a very important report. If you want a copy of it, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. and sign up for a free trial, 30 days of MMT Trader. This report had some very important data in there. All right, now again, I cover all the data. I don't just look at the inventories like the zombies. Oh, crude oil has a build. We're going to sell. No, I look at inventories. I look at demand. I look at production. I look at imports. I look at exports. And you have to be able to synthesize all that information into a cogent analysis, and that's what I do. So everything is all in the MMT Trader report. Of course, I send out many emails during the day to MMT Trader subscribers. Some people got on board when I first started, and they're still paying $75 a month. I've had a number of increases, increased it to 100, increased to 125. Now it's 145 a month. It's still like an incredible value. I can tell you this. Not immediately, but probably by the summer, the subscription price will be going up even further, and it'll continue to go up because right now it's very undervalued, the report and the service that I bring. Not to mention the whole entire aspect of mental game. How many people on my SEAL Team 6 have told me, I mean, dozens and dozens of people have come back to me, tell me, Mike, you have changed my life. Not just when it comes to trading. You have changed my life. The things you have taught me in terms of mental game, I apply every day in my life. It has changed me for the better. So that alone, that is priceless, my friends. Anyway, look, in all seriousness, I am very worried about this Syrian situation. I do not want to see a war between the United States and Russia. That would be insanity to the maximum. And it could threaten, ultimately, all of humanity. So let's hope that does not happen. All right, everybody, that's it for this video. See you tomorrow. And again, if you want a copy of, or you want my emails today, if you want a copy of that report, go to pitbulleconomics.com and sign up for a 30-day free trial to MMT Trader. Bye-bye.